Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Orange Spotlight, where we are dedicated to bringing you insights into Syracuse sports. My name is Cole Weintraub, and I'm alongside my partner, Ian Nicholas. Our special guest today is Justin Lamson. That is a name that you will definitely hear a lot in the future. Justin is a three-star recruit. In the 2021 class, he is ranked the 20th best dual-threat quarterback prospect in the country by 24/7 Sports. In his junior year at Oak Ridge High in El Dorado, California, he threw for 3,114 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. On the ground, he tallied 416 yards and 5 touchdowns. In 2019, he was named the NorCal Offensive Player of the Year, the Sacramento Bees All-Metro Player of the Year, and was a Sac Joaquin Section Division I champion. And on December 16th of last year, Justin signed his letter of intent with the Orange. Justin, how are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. So as I just hinted at, you've had a very successful high school career, whether it be through the air, on the ground, or making tackles. As a result of that, you've received offers from a number of high-profile schools such as Louisville, Boise State, Wyoming, and of course, Syracuse. What made you choose the Orange?
Syracuse was late in the process, but I feel like I took some visits out to like my final schools, and I feel like all recruits will tell you this is like you go to a place and you just feel like you're at home, and it feels probably better than the rest of the schools that you went to. So that was just kind of the feeling I got with the Syracuse place, and I felt good with the coaches, and the other recruits were super nice too. So it just felt like good.
Definitely.
I find it funny how you thought Syracuse, New York felt like home, even though it's freezing cold and you're a Cali kid. But I guess that speaks to the culture and the place that Syracuse is. So have you always been a football guy growing up? Like before high school, was football always like your number one sport that you loved playing the most, like in youth and in middle school? Or were you just a kid who would, pick up any ball, pick up any stick, and you're good to go play any sport?
Yeah, so my dad was a football player, so I obviously grew up with that. But I was also playing baseball. I wrestled, and then I also played basketball too. So I played basketball in high school with football just because you can't really play 3 sports in my high school. It's just like too much. So those are my 2 sports that I ended up playing in high school.
Very good.
Yeah.
So you got hurt during the first game of your junior year, and it altered your style of play. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I don't need to get into details about the injury just because it's super confusing and there's just a lot of parts of it. But yeah, I was the punter, and I ended up having to make a tackle, so I kind of hyperextended my knee, which caused swelling and just a little bit of mobility that I couldn't have like before. You know what I'm saying? And it definitely altered my game. I couldn't have the run reads in for the first couple of games. But we ended up getting back to that during the playoffs, and
Right.
I was able to run more. So, yeah.
Right. So going into the playoffs, like you said, during your junior year, you're finally able to use your legs. In the championship game alone, you rushed for over 130 yards and 3 touchdowns, leading your team to victory. Considering this was your first year as a starting varsity quarterback and your previous regular season opponents only saw you as, well, a pocket passer, were your opposing defenses prepared for your dual threat abilities, or did you take them by surprise?
I don't think they were really ready for that because we hadn't shown it on film in the prior games. But I think by halftime they probably made some adjustments because I think I started running against Turlock, which was our first game, which was quarterfinals. Then the next couple of games they might have been ready, but during the start of playoffs, I don't think they were ready. So it was a good little surprise, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, you made that championship run, so people couldn't adjust to the abilities you were able to put out there. But I do think it's very interesting that obviously you only played quarterback for 1 year. You were a defensive back, right, for the majority of your high school career, and then quarterback. Your first year starting was a junior, right?
No, I see a lot of people get this messed up. I
tell us.
played quarterback growing up, but I had to make the adjustment my sophomore year. So yeah, that's right. I only played 1 year quarterback at the varsity level. But I've been playing defensive back, and I played a little bit D-end growing up, but it was just like a both ways. So my sophomore year was my defensive back year. Then I had to switch to quarterback again my junior year.
So how did you feel when maybe it was you won the quarterback battle or whenever it happened during the junior offseason? How did you feel that this was going to be the year that you were finally going to be able to showcase your ability to throw the football around?
Yeah, I was super excited because I was trying to get recruited as a quarterback. I wasn't really trying to get recruited as a DB. But yeah, I was excited just for spring ball and just be able to show the coaches what I got for sure.
All right. So Justin, the dual threat quarterback is becoming more and more common in the NFL. So what current pro would you compare your game to and why?
Ooh, that's tough. I would say probably Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen's just a big physical guy. You know, he just plays. He's not like polished, super polished like Patrick Mahomes in the throwing game, but he scrambles and makes plays happen. So I think that's like my best person that I would compare myself to, just in the NFL, I guess.
That's a pretty good comparison because the Bills are riding through and quite possibly might make the Super Bowl. So
they're hot right now. They're hot right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they are super hot. And I have a quick question because I know you're a California guy. Who's your favorite NFL team?
The Rams. Yeah.
You are a Rams fan because Cole thought you might be one.
Yeah, tough weekend for us.
A little bit, there's a lot shaking up there in LA. But I think it's interesting because the defensive coordinator of the Rams, Brandon Staley, is now the head coach of the Chargers. Yep. And he's got an interesting story because he was a former quarterback, but he's a defensive guy. So he's kind of got, everything covered as a coach, even though he's only a defensive coordinator. You switched from DB to quarterback, even though you were a quarterback in youth. Would you say that year at defensive back kind of changed your philosophy a little bit of how to play the QB position? Like, did you see coverage in a different way? Did you see playing quarterback in a different perspective after playing DB for a year?
Yeah, it was different for sure. I think all quarterbacks kind of know coverages, so that wasn't like the biggest thing that like I took away from that. But I think the mindset, I guess, of being a defensive player was the biggest thing that took away from me, because obviously as a quarterback, you're not going to play like a DB, right? Like, but I still had that attitude where I'm going to, because DBs are a little bit more aggressive, I guess, I would say, than quarterbacks. So I kind of took that away. And that's probably the biggest thing I took away for sure.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people watching don't know that Ian Book, quarterback at Notre Dame, also went to Oak Ridge High. You've also actually gotten the opportunity to work with him. So what kind of advice has he given you, whether it be mechanical, walking you through the recruitment process, etc.? How much of a help has he been to you?
Yeah, Ian's been a big help. So he coached my junior program team in 8th grade. Wow. So, and I've grown up, my brother's pretty close with his older brother. So it's just kind of, I've known him for a while, but we go to the same quarterback coach, Will Hewitt, who was in Texas. Well, he started in California, then went to Texas, then now he's in Florida. So anytime either of us work with him, and we'll talk about what he helped us with, just mechanically wise. And when he was home for coronavirus, he helped me out a lot with mechanics. And then the biggest thing I think he helped me with was like looking at new plays, new schemes and stuff like that. And he also kind of put in my head that you can't just take a rep to take a rep. You have to envision like what you're seeing, like if it's cover 3, like what route are you going to go to first? Then you're going to your next read and stuff like that. And I think that's probably the biggest thing for the next level is just, you got to take that kind of stuff serious.
Well, I mean, Ian Book was breaking all sorts of records at Notre Dame, so maybe you'll fulfill that at Syracuse. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to see it, right? If you see it in your Syracuse career, then hopefully it will come true. Just like if you see something, reading coverage, it will come true there if you find the right guy. It's a small world because the quarterback at my high school, Drew Pine, is a current backup at Notre Dame. Yeah, and Drew, he's a great guy, and obviously he's got to work a lot with Ian, not me. I didn't help him. I was a JVO lineman who stunk, but the other Ian, the one that's going to go to the NFL. It is crazy. You're from California. I'm from Connecticut, 2 different worlds, but we kind of have a little bit of a connection there. And speaking of college quarterbacks, you're a big fan, I heard of Eric Dungy, the former Syracuse quarterback. Is he a guy who you watched before you committed to Syracuse, or maybe when they came in late in the recruiting process, you started looking at him? When was the first time you saw him play, and maybe some comparisons to your game between the two of you?
Yeah, so I wasn't a big ACC guy, sadly, when I was before the recruiting process, just because I was a Pac-12 guy, obviously, from the West Coast. Right. And I watched a lot of, like, Washington State, like Oregon, USC, stuff like that. But, yeah, once Syracuse offered me, I was getting, like, all these stuff in my comments talking about Eric Dungy. I don't like to compare myself to him just because he's, like, a great, and I don't want to set that expectation. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's just, you can't just compare myself to a guy like that just because of what he's done. But I've seen his film. It's pretty crazy, the stuff he does. And I think he's a competitor just like me. I feel like that's the biggest comparison that we have. So, yeah. But I haven't talked to him in person. He tweeted at me once I signed, which was pretty cool. Yeah, so hopefully I'll get to talk to him in person, which I'm looking forward to.
Hopefully.
Right.
Yeah.
So you speak about competitiveness. So your head coach at Oak Ridge, Eric Cavalier, has described you as having unmatched competitiveness. So where did you get this competitiveness from?
I don't know. Probably just my brother and me and my brother just competing in the house when I was younger and just stuff like that. We have a pretty competitive household here, so I guess that's what translated to that, I guess.
Well, I'm sure family game night got pretty crazy, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you play all those sports growing up, obviously, and your father being a former football player, himself, I bet he probably helped instill some of that competitiveness in you and all of your siblings. And, for a guy who's had as much success as you, competitiveness has to be a thing. When, that much success, it has to come from something, some sort of drive. It's great to see that you're obviously a super competitive guy. And I think the Syracuse coaches obviously really like that about you. And a coach who is really a big fan of yours is Sterling Gilbert, your future offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. How excited are you to work with a guy who's coached guys like Kevin Kolb and a guy in California, Jimmy Garoppolo, at the college level? This is a guy who's worked with some of the greats. How's your relationship with him, and what have you guys been able to talk about since you've committed to Syracuse?
Yeah, I have a good relationship with Coach Gilbert. It's kind of a business type of relationship. We actually, the stuff we talk about the most is like on holidays, we both like barbecuing. So we talk about that a lot. And yeah, I got a good relationship with him. I feel like I could text him about anything, and I'm super excited to work with him. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So Justin, some people have a moment in their life where they realize that they are talented enough to do something at the higher level. So when did you know that you could be a major college quarterback?
Yeah, I was getting a little worried because I was kind of late in the recruiting process, so I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. I thought maybe FCS, just because I had an Idaho offer, and that's what I had all the way up until I had a Sac State offer too, up until March, and then I started talking to schools like San Jose State and some of the low-level FBS schools, and then that's when I kind of started believing that I could play at the highest level possible, and so I finally got it. So then I got the Louisville offer, and then I started talking to the Syracuse guys. So I think it was late for me, but around March area when I started picking up offers. I always thought, my parents always told me that I could play at the highest level. I just didn't really understand it, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Going back to one of your offers, Wyoming. I just connected it with Josh Allen. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
In Wyoming, and you compared yourself to Josh Allen. It's pretty ironic.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's journey is a little bit different, right? Some guys, heck, Drew got offers in 8th grade, and other guys, they get offers after a phenomenal run like you did, your junior year, really just getting better and better and making that championship run. People started to take notice around the nation.
Yeah.
So, everyone's journey works out in a different way. And obviously being a member of the Orange seems like it was the right fit for you. Now, I want to make sure I'm right on this one. Did you enroll early at Syracuse? Because there were reports that you were going to enroll early this month at Syracuse.
Yeah, I was supposed to get there today actually, but then they pushed the date back.
Right.
Obviously, you guys know, to February 8th. So, yeah, I'm leaving in 2 weeks, so I'm pretty excited for that.
So why do you think that was the best decision for you to enroll early at Syracuse? What do you think with the extra time will give you more prepared, not only academically, obviously, but maybe for spring ball? Why was it the right choice for you?
Just, I guess, learning the playbook. I wanted to play my senior season here, but I don't know. Did you guys have football in Connecticut or?
Yeah, no football here in Connecticut. I know New Jersey, didn't they have football, Cole?
Yeah, they did. They played like a short 4 to 5 game season actually.
Yeah, but we heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, California is looking really bad. So I was trying to get out of here just because it just like the unlikeliness of it happening was super high. So I just thought it was the best opportunity for me to go out and learn the playbook and meet the guys and just get ready for next season. So,
I mean, I agree. I mean, that's a good point. So in the last episode, we talked to your future teammate, Malcolm Falk. He emphasized his focus on studying film. So as a quarterback during a week heading into game day, how much film do you tend to watch, and what are some of the aspects that you look into when watching opposing defenses?
Yeah, I would say just players on the other side of the ball's tendencies, just what they do, and studying that. I would say the amount of film I watched last year for a season, for like a weekly basis, because Huddle it has like that time thing, and I was watching about 20 hours a week, just with the coaches, and I feel like that's a pretty normal amount for a quarterback that's trying to do the right thing, maybe even more. I'm sure the coaches are digging into it more than us, but yeah, just looking at tendencies, looking at what kind of coverages they're running, and just stuff like that, and their personnel, obviously.
That's dedication. I mean,
Yeah.
So we've reached the all chalk segment of the interview. This is where the audience gets to know a little bit more about our special guest. And there's 6 rapid fire questions. Justin, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, Ian.
All right. So you've already talked a little bit about Josh Allen, but let's get a little more specific here. You're a Rams fan. Who's your favorite player on the Los Angeles Rams?
Oof, that's tough. I think I like Cooper Kupp just because of how technical he is. And it's close because I like Andrew Whitworth too, because just like how old he is and the kind of veteran he is. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but he messed up his knee earlier in the season, and he came back like super quick. And I just feel like the dedication of that's pretty insane, especially at his age.
I mean, you must have been pretty bummed that Cooper Kupp was not in last game. Definitely.
Yeah, it was tough. That's tough.
So this is on another side. So what's your all-time favorite movie or television show?
I would say The Office. It's a classic, but I love it.
What about a video game? You got a favorite?
Madden 21, easy.
Okay. We're 2 for 2. Malcolm said Madden. You said Madden. Maybe you two will play head-to-head when you get to Syracuse.
I'll clap him. Come on. Malcolm knows how to do that.
This is the ultimate competitor. Malcolm, you've been warned.
That's funny. All right, so what's your favorite food?
I like all kinds of seafood. So probably sushi would be my go-to.
All right. Nice.
And then lastly, you got a favorite vacation spot? Like any vacation over the years that like you won't forget for a while?
Yeah, Maui, Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
The answers.
And one more. What's your favorite subject in school?
Ooh, I like math. That's kind of weird, but I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
quarterbacks usually are pretty smart with the numbers,
You got to be pretty smart to play quarterback. Well, that wraps it up here. Justin, we want to thank you for coming on the show, and we're really looking forward to watching you play in the future. We hope you'll come back on with us when you're a big star. And, yeah, I'm Cole Wancho. That's Ian Nicholas, and this is Orange Spotlight.